Good question that you have asked. Nungambakam has got 6 or 7 names because they didn't understand what it was, the English. Lungambok, Mungambok, Niminbaka, all kinds of funny names. Shiva village, the village of Shiva temple cannot be taxed. So it's free, tax free. So Ottri Ur, anal Ottri Vaikipatadu. And they were not the 5-star staying variety. They had difficulty in identifying places where they could get food. Biryani is a later entrant. The Ambur Biryani, the Hyderabadi Biryani and all is now, in the last 20-30 years. Prior to that, Biryani was served on special occasions in Islamic houses, Mohammedan Muslim houses. That's about it. You never found it.
Kodambakam. So what I know is there were a lot.
No Godabag, please.
No Godabag.
Please,
no.
I will not. I will leave this interview if that story.
That's
comes
what I was about to ask.
Absolute
so that's
nonsense.
that is what is being rumored around the internet sensation.
எப்படி வந்து இந்த
What
மாதிரி
exactly is the exact
இந்த ரூம் போட்டு
explanation, sir?
யோசிப்பாங்களோ அப்படின்னு ஒரு கேள்வி வரும் என்னோட மைண்டில். சம்மந்தம் இல்லாமல் the Nawab was living in Chepak. Why he was leaving his horses in Kodambakam, அப்புறம் how he was walking all the way every day and coming all that distance? It could not possible. It's not possible. It's all rubbish. So Kodambakam itself is a very old name. The Kodambak, the name is there, Quodambak, among the British even in the 17th century. So the Nawab came only in 1768 to Madras. So where is this question of him parking his horses there and all that? So we don't know why that name. So why Nungambakam? These are all, Nungambakam has got 6 or 7 names because they didn't understand what it was, the English. Lungambok, Mungambok, Niminbaka, all kinds of funny names they have given Nungambakam. So they just didn't understand how to pronounce it. Some places which you know very clearly, Mailarpil. Appare he refers to it as Mailarpil because that is where the peacocks were there in plenty. Thiru Ottriyur because it was removed from taxation by the Cholas. Ottri Vaikkapatta idam. Adanala Thiru Ottriyur. So it was so holy to the Cholas that they decided this Shiva village, the village of Shiva temple cannot be taxed. So it's free, tax free. So Ottri Ur, anal Ottri Vaikkapattadu. And the Madri you have Thiru Allikeni where Lily was there, and that is, so we know few names we can identify very clearly. But 99% of the names we have no.
The Godabag is not the truth.
Absolute nonsense.
Okay.
Similarly, Nandanam.
Nandanam, yeah.
Lots of people say Nandanam பழைய காலத்துல ஒரு பெருமாள் கோவில் அதுக்கு தோட்டம். In 1952 or 53 when that colony was created, Rajaji gave it the name Nandanam because that year was Nandana Varsham in Tamil calendar. That's all. அதுக்கு எங்கேருந்து ஏதோ ராமானுஜர் காலத்தில் ஒரு தோட்டம் இருந்தது, அது நந்தன வனமாக இருந்தது, அதனால் அதுக்கு நந்தனம்னு பேர். Mad people.
Okay. One last question before I wind up this interview. So we've been hearing the influence of Dutch people, British people, and a lot of. So I want to know how is the influence of the Muslim period and the Muslim rulers on Chennai.
See, it's a very good question that you have asked, and I only wish that there are people who will listen to that history and appreciate it. Like for instance, there is Mr. Anwar, who is a very well-known photographer and who has been focusing on the Islamic history of Chennai. I wish more people would listen to him and understand what he is explaining and talking about. So the Muslim presence must have been there to a minor extent in this city. For instance, there is even a theory that this was once a village of Marakayars. So it was called Makras Kuppam. Adile Madras aachinu kuda or theory irukku. See, sometimes it is difficult to negate these stories also. But the substantial Muslim population here comes only with the arrival of the Golconda Sultanate and the pressing. See, this entire with in 1565, Vijayanagar Empire begins to weaken. But from 1565 till the 1670s, the Vijayanagar ruler was still the nominal ruler of this area. Then in the 1670s, the Golconda Sultanate and Bijapur, they conquer the entire South India. which is when you find that Muslims begin to settle over here. Now, where would the Muslims have settled? They would have settled only adjoining some other existing village, which is why you find Santom, Mylapore had a substantial Islamic presence. So, that the Mylapore had a port of which there is no trace today. That was called Shah Bandar. Shah Bandar, அப்படினாலே Shah Bandar, not Bandar, Shah Bandar, which means the king's port. So the Golconda Sultan had a outlet over here from which he was exporting. There is a street called Jonahan Street, even now in that area. Shonagar means Muslims. So that is how that particular area, the Islamic influence was there. Similarly, in Tiruvallikeni, you've had a certain Islamic influence. But we know that if at all they were praying, they were probably praying in their houses. The first mosque to be constructed was only in the 1680s. And that was by a man called Kasi Viranna, and he built it in Mutyalpete, so in town. That was the first mosque. Then came the Nawabs of Arcot in the 1760s. Once they came and settled over here, there was a substantial growth in the Muslim presence. So they began to settle down in various places. And then came the big mosque in Triplicane, other mosques were built. And that is how they have also added to the wonderful color that is part of our city.
Adding more colors, biryani also adds more flavor to this. So talking about Madras and Chennai, we can never ignore this fact that biryani is also a part of this culture, along with dosa or idli or whatever it is. So the food and culture, the lifestyle aspect of Chennai, people have dosa, idli, biryani or whatever it may be. So how it has been evolutionized from the early stages of Madras to present Chennai?
Till around 30-40 years ago, hardly anybody would eat outside. So eating out was not considered to be a very desirable thing. Most people would eat at home, whether it was meat, whether it was vegetable, well, vegetarians, non-vegetarians. Everybody depended on domestic supply, which is why people, when they came from outside and they were not the 5-star staying variety, they had difficulty in identifying places where they could get food. And the food revolution itself is probably not beyond a 100-year phenomenon, because the first Udupi hotels and all start coming in the 1930s. Around that time, you have the military hotels also coming in, because they were, the non-vegetarian food was coming in. The big stars, if you ask me, Woodlands for the vegetarian, Buhari for the non-vegetarian. Even Raj Kapoor was very fond of its chicken 65, which was the 65th item on the menu. Biryani is a later entrant. The Ambur biryani, the Hyderabadi biryani and all is now, in the last 20-30 years. Prior to that, biryani was served on special occasions in Islamic houses, Mohammedan Muslim houses. That's about it. You never found it much outside. The essential quality of Tamil Nadu non-vegetarian cuisine would have come from Chettinad. And for instance, don't you find it amazing that despite the fact that we are a coastal city, there is no great Chennai seafood cuisine? What is there? Unlike Bengal or Mangalore, Bombay coast and all that, where you have a huge local area cuisine, Chennai still depends on other cuisines to substantiate its seafood existence. So I wonder what really happened, where did it all go? Because I know that when I wrote my book on Chennai, the food chapter came in for a lot of criticism, because they said that it is essentially a vegetarian's journey into food. And I agreed, because I am a vegetarian myself. What I knew, I put in. I was set right by many people who sent me corrections. But even when I looked at that, I found that beyond 100 years, there is nothing great, no great Sheikh's history about the non-vegetarian cuisine of what was Chennai. It was essentially Anglo-Indian and British. That was the non-vegetarian. I'm not saying they were vegetarians, but they were probably eating things which they did not document very well. That's about it. But it is a meat-eating city. Chennai is a non-vegetarian city. Chennai is not a vegetarian city. Let's not forget that. Majority of the people are non-vegetarians here.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions and
Thank
taking
you.
us through the evolution of Madras. Thank you so much.
Thanks a ton. Bye. See you.